Cancorla, I believe that this country's best days are ahead of it. I believe that this country's economy has great strengths. I agree with some of the things that Taoiseach has said here today, that, for example, our exports are growing, that this is a good country in which to do business. And I believe that we will get through the economic crisis that the country is now facing. And I believe also that the vast majority of people in this country want to put their shoulder to the wheel to help us do that. But we have a big problem. And the big problem is that there is no sense that there's anybody in charge. Taoiseach, I'm not quite sure why you made this statement today. I'm not sure what it adds to the sense of confidence or lack of it in the country. It certainly doesn't add anything to clarity about what is taking place at the moment in relation to our finances and in relation to discussions that are taking place with Europe. Over the course of the past fortnight, we have seen a dramatic increase in the cost of borrowing for the Irish state, reached a peak of about 9% last week, and it still remains around 8% today, which is really at crisis levels. Now, that is the market sentiment, if you like. That is what the Taoiseach calls irrational. That is where we're at after, as the Taoiseach has said, budgetary adjustments of the order of 14 to 15 billion have already been made. An announcement has been made by government that it is committed to doing another 15 billion, and 6 of it in the coming year. It comes shortly after a statement made by government that we had got the final figure for the money that was to go into the banks. And it is also, I think, and the Taoiseach has acknowledged this, in a context where the main opposition parties are committed to getting our deficit down to the targets that were agreed with the European Commission. And it is manifestly clear that the markets are not responding to all of these signals coming from the country. And it is clear that they are not responding to that because they don't see the problem as purely a budgetary issue, purely an issue of our public finances. They see a country where the banks have been tied at the hip to the state as a result of the bank guarantee that was brought in September of 2008. And in addition to that, they have also lost confidence in the government of this country, as indeed the people have lost confidence in the present government of this country. Ireland, Taoiseach talks about this being some kind of a general European problem. Yes, there is a European problem. And yes, Europe does have a responsibility to work with this country in resolving that problem. This is not solely an Irish national interest, and I accept that that is the case. But the reality is that it is Ireland which is now at the apex of that storm. It is Ireland that is at the centre of international attention and is the story in all of the various media. And in that context, I think there is a responsibility on government to clarify what is happening, and that has not happened here today. What we got over the weekend were a series of qualified denials from ministers and from official sources. There have been stories in the international media, speculation, comments from the ECB sources about hypothetical talks, ponderings, and I think that we need to know clearly what has happened. The Taoiseach tells us, yes, there have been discussions at official level, but that no ministers have been involved in it. We have to take that, of course, at face value. But frankly, it is quite astonishing that given what has been happening over the course of the weekend and over recent days, that there wouldn't have been direct ministerial involvement in the discussions that has been taking place. The reality today is that there is speculation that this country is in bailout territory as far as the European institutions is concerned, and certainly as far as our banks are concerned. And what that is doing among the Irish public is that in addition to the worries that people already have, and people have been affected directly by the crisis that has taken place, over 400,000 people out of work, the many people who have lost businesses, the many businesses that have not been able and are not able to access credit from the banking institutions, the huge numbers of people who hold mortgages, many of them in negative equity, who are worried about how they're going to pay for them. In addition to all of that, in addition to the families that are seeing their children, many of them well educated, having to emigrate in order to make a future for themselves, in addition to all of that worry, people are now seriously worried about the future of the country's economy and the country's finances and its economic sovereignty and its economic independence. There is a mood across the country that we are about to lose our economic independence if in fact we have not already done so. And I think that there is a responsibility on you, Taoiseach, and on the government to address that front up, and your statement here today does not do that. You see, it's not just what's happening now, it is the sequence of things that has happened. It is and we can go back over the history of it, how your government managed or mismanaged the economy over a period of time. We can go back over the decision in relation to the bank guarantee, which you told us wouldn't cost the taxpayer anything. We now know the consequence of that. We can go back over the mistake it was, the tragedy it was, to provide the guarantee to Anglo and Nationwide in the way that it was provided, and the consequences that has had for the banking system and for the country and for the economy. All of that, I think, has contributed to a situation where the credibility of the government has been shot, where confidence in the government, both here and abroad, is at an all-time low. The banking guarantee, and I drew attention to the comments that was made by Daniel Gross of the Centre for European Policy Studies this morning, where he lays it very clearly that the consequence of the banking guarantee has led to the economic downfall of the country, and that the consequence of that guarantee is that the fortunes of the banks and the fortunes of the state are now perceived to be as one by investors and by people outside of the country, and that's what has us where we are. Taoiseach, you say that you want market conditions to stabilise, and that anything that can be done should be done, or that anything that you can do, you will do to make that happen. There is one thing that you can do to help make that happen, and that is for your government to resign. And I believe that is necessary for a number of reasons. Firstly, because any government with any sense of self-respect that would have got the country into the mess that you and your government have got it into would do the decent thing and go. But secondly, even if that weren't a consideration, what is now required is the change and the renewal of confidence that comes with giving the people the opportunity to have their say, to elect a new government which will have a mandate for 4 to 5 years, and that will provide a fresh start for the country. Now, we can try, as we will do, at whatever opportunity is given to us, to defeat your government here in the House and to bring that about. But we can't force it unless the numbers so dictate, unless there are defections either by the Greens or by independents or from your own backbenches. But you can do it. You can actually decide that this should be brought to an end, that the uncertainty, that the lack of confidence which your continuation in office and your government's continuation in office is bringing down on this country should be brought to an end. That is something practical that you can do in order to restore, to stabilise market conditions and to restore confidence in the country. It is simply unthinkable that you intend to continue to serve out the next 18 months or whatever is left of the normal life of your government, in circumstances where there is no confidence in your government among the people of the country, and where clearly